In today's episode, we're going to go through some wiring harness tips for a light kit and my experience with some Amazon, maybe not the best quality kits. Had to get a second set, and we're going to talk about the brake light wiring that I see a lot of posts about where people get confused regarding the timer and the plunger and so forth. So this card in particular came with a headlight and tail light, so I thought the wiring harness would be a little bit better. But once we got it apart, not so much. So we went with a street legal kit, which didn't include a key part, the timer. So we'll talk through some of that. And also, if you're watching this and know me, no, I can't believe I'm standing in front of the camera either. Let's get started. So on the tailgate here, this is the light that was in this cart when I bought it. And I'll put a picture of that cart as I bought it and what it looked like before total teardown. So the front half of it is actually pretty good. It's full. I mean, I don't know if it's factory, but a better quality aftermarket. All of the connections are labeled to where they're supposed to go, which is pretty standard. This was the headlight pole that was installed in the dashboard. But as you're looking, this was the back half. And I do like my light kits to be street legal. We are running this cart on a street, not in a campground. So blinkers and brake lights, I definitely feel are key. So as part of the rebuild, definitely wanted to incorporate that. This cart, when I bought it, also did not have a voltage reducer. So it was hooked straight to the batteries. This was into the factory positive post here. And then both of these were on the negative. And then they just had these random red that went to the rear end. So we'll hang on to the lights as spares. This particular one was broken somewhere. Which one was it? Yep, the end is broken off there. This forward, the headlight still works. It's got the provisions for, where are they? They're in here somewhere. Oh, here's the provisions for the horn. So let's take a look at where we're at with this one right now. So what I've done is I've run everything in. We've got power. This is the headlight kit, power, going into my fuse panel off of my voltage reducer. Those wires are just kind of stuffed in, right? When you go to run your brake light out the back, just put it through this little hole, and these will be ready to accept after you put the body on. So we'll deal with that when we go to put the body on. But the reason I haven't thrown the body on, which it's back from paint finally, so we'll be getting to that very shortly, is just to show you a little bit about the brake light setup. But back to the bucket harness, that goes down through this hole here, out there, and through the channel in the floor, into the dash. So I didn't take the whole dash apart. There's not anything too exciting there, but on this particular light kit, the hole that was for the light pole is right here, but that's just going to be the hazards. And this kit, like we talked about, is street legal. Talked about that in a previous video. So when I was putting this back together, though, it's a lot of wiring to try and stuff behind the factory dash. If you're doing an aftermarket dash kit, or like what we have in Run, where we bought the double take dashboard, there's plenty of room inside there to run wires. But when I'm doing the factory one, I did end up cutting a hole here, pulling all of this through so that my dash panel would fit flush. So nothing crazy that goes on up here. Just pull it all through, hook up your horn. The horn is mounted to the front suspension carrier, and then putting these guys on is no big thing. I think everybody can kind of figure that out. So what ended up happening with this particular kit that I bought off Amazon, which, I mean, it was still a good price, but it did not come with the timer. So those timers, and we'll fast forward, when you put these in park and the light is still on, the timer will eventually click and it'll shut the brake lights off. So without that timer, it's just going to sit here with the brake lights on when you have your parking brake on. So this particular kit, like I mentioned, was missing this. So we contacted the seller, and they actually went ahead and sent me, I guess this is going to turn off any second now. There they go. They actually went and sent me a whole secondary kit, which pretty admirable, right? All I asked for was the little timer box, which I have Velcroed here. So this is the part that I needed. You can buy it separate. It's a $50 part if they go bad. But we'll talk about some of the wiring details that I had to deal with there. But the company that I was dealing with, like I mentioned, an entire kit for an EasyGo TXT. And potentially it was something that had already been returned once. This is not the shipping label that came to me. That one's mine. So I don't know if it's a return that then went back out. But this kit is more or less complete. You've got your wiring harness, you've got your signal harness for the steering column cover, 48-volt horn, and all 4 headlights, which are brand new LEDs. So I don't have a TXT, so maybe someday in the future we will. So we'll hang on to this. And then this had some sort of different style plunger for the brake. These were the instructions that came with the Precedents. And I had to sit there and figure some of this out. So most of the instructions are fairly clear, but let's take a quick peek a little closer in on that brake plunger. Real briefly, before I get into this plunger, this instruction pack comes with the brake pad scenario. So I think also part of the problem is it's like a mixture of different kits, because I have this scenario, and then it didn't come with the brake pad. I had the plunger scenario. So I just think that some of it got mixed up is part of the issue that I had with this kit. It did not come with the brake pad thing, which I'm not a huge fan of, but this clearly is from a Precedent, right? I had a Yamaha that I did have one of these pads. Sometimes your foot would catch the brake pad, sometimes it wouldn't. So that's why I definitely like it to be the mechanical plunger that we're going to take a look at here in a second. But like I say, I think that main wiring harness was for the pad scenario and not the scenario with the timer. So that is why, which we're going to show you here in a second, we had to do some wiring ourselves, like cut a few things and splice in the timer. All right, so this is taking a look down from the top side. How you set this up, you screw the plunger down into the floor in a location where this little needle will pull as soon as you touch the brakes. So you'll be able to see the lights come on. See the reflection, I'm sure. So that's how that works. This little guy, as soon as you pull it, so that's the adjustment that you're going to have to make. Now, this particular cart, I did put new brake pads on it. I was out riding it around a little bit, and the pedal's going a little bit too far to the floor. This is how I'll have to adjust that. The brakes themselves in the back are working well. I just need a little less pedal travel. So I'll loosen this nut, tighten this up. It'll shorten the rod length, and then the pedal will be more reactive. Now, for the timer, it has this wiring diagram, but half of the wires that came with this particular kit, I had to change. So this is a connection that I made here. This is a little fuse. This blue wire is one of their factory ones. This is a connection here that we had to splice in. And so there was a little bit of wiring that we had to do, but you could figure it out just by following. So we have the red, the orange, and the black, which I've got red, orange, and black in the kit. The black needs to go to number 3, which that's in there. You see that these are numbered here. The orange has to go to 1, which we have it numbered here. This is coming from the pedal, so that was the one, that last one that went to 2 from the fuse. So I know that's not horribly, hope I didn't make it too confusing, but you get the gist. If you follow the directions along and you're good at maybe doing a little crimping, you'll be able to work your way through it. But potentially if it was a higher quality kit, obviously I wouldn't be having to do that. So just a little buyer beware on these particular kits. Again, that company did take care of me. They sent me the $150 part by sending me an entire light kit, which I'm thankful for, but I definitely had to do a little bit of wiring to get it all to work correctly. That second kit didn't come with instructions, so there's that. Another reason why I think maybe it was a repop type thing and they knew that there was a timer in it. But that's the situation with the lights on this one. We are almost ready to go get the body on it, and I can't wait for that. So look for that in an upcoming video. Thanks very much for watching. Talk to you later.